Sup guys, Mikey here for the TheYugiohCouncil with Tech Tuesday, or weekly tech card to put in your deck. See, it's always in the morning that my brain is always 100% dead, not like 50% dead like it should be. But that's besides the point. Today we're talking about ground collapse, and there's a few reasons why I'm talking about this. One, it's because of obviously it's because of link summoning and the new mechanic that we're gonna get eventually in the TCG. And as if you don't know already, the OCG will be getting it, or rather, the new mechanic will be and rulings will be in effect in the OCG March 25th, along with the release of the Link Monster starter deck. So, and also because this card is not that bad a card, it does bait out a lot of things. Now let's go into the effect. Also, you can find this in Dark Beginnings 1 and Pharaoh's Servant. Select 2 monster card zones on the field. Neither player can use the selected zones. You cannot select the zone that is occupied by a monster card. Now, what does this mean for you and your opponent? So obviously it's a double-edged sword. You can use it to lock out your opponent, but you also lock out yourself. And the only way this works is if you have your field set up. Actually, I'm sorry, let me back up a little bit, because it says neither player can use the selected zones, but you don't have to choose your own monster zone. I'm sorry, let me back up, because that second effect kind of messed up my brain. So in actuality, you can select 2 monster zones on your opponent's side of the field, maybe one with the link markers on them, and then they cannot be used as long as this card is face up. So what does this mean for your opponent? They have 2 less monster zones to work with. They can't floodgate as much as they should be able to in this current meta, like Zodiacs. Well, depending on what Zodiacs will do. Metal foes cannot floodgate, although they will use Archfiend Eccentric, and that will be 1 card out of their hand and a bait as long as you have another one, like another face down or whatever. So enough about that. Positives of this card. Like I said, 2 monster zones are gone from your opponent's field. They'll have to get rid of this spell card in order to use those 2 monster zones. And it makes the game a little bit, it turns the game into a much slower pace for a few turns if they don't have anything to get rid of this, which would be sad. Also, the fact that when Link Monsters and the new mechanic takes effect in the TCG, I can see this card gaining a lot of hype. So I don't know if it's a good recommendation to pick up like a couple playsets of this card right now. I'm definitely going to pick up a few playsets, because this card will like slow down the game even further when Link Monsters drop. And I'm not telling you to go and buy this card. I'm just saying I would. I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying I would. Because I don't want people to go do something on my behalf and whatnot. So yeah, if your opponent has a Link Monster out, and you activate Ground Collapse and target one of their monster zones with the link marker pointing to it, then they're still locked out of the extra deck, which is pretty damn brutal. And it's pretty savage. I'm sorry, I don't like that word to an extent, but Jesus Christ. Even after the new mechanic, even after giving both you and your opponent a fair chance of putting link markers on both sides, this card just says no, you can't have your extra deck yet. Get over this card and then you can have your extra deck. And not only that, this is actually a fun fact. Some link monsters do point to your opponent's zones, as you guys point to your opponent's monster zone, as you guys know. So if your opponent gets rid of that monster, then they're fucked. Just like on a fun fact. But yeah. And also the fact that this is a continuous spell, and it is a spell card, so you can activate it right away if you want, or you can wait until they use up their zones, and then use this, then use Regeki, or whatever combos you want to do with this card. Now, The negatives of this card is not much actually, because one, you don't have to target your own zones, because you and your the only way this backfires is if you're using like uh decks that use kaiju or kaiju related effects that summon to your opponent's field. That's one negative if you're doing it that way. Secondly, you cannot select a zone that is occupied by a monster card. So you can't select the Crystal Wing monster zone. You can't select the Zodiac monster zone. No, you get rid of you just get rid of two unoccupied zones. And if that were to be an effect, if that were to be part of the effect that you can select an occupied zone, then that means the monster gets destroyed, banished, or unusable overall, and that would be pretty stupid. I think this card would be banned at that point. And the fact that it is vulnerable to Twin Twister, MST, Galaxy, missed the Cyclone card. I'm sorry, I'm losing my brain. But that's about it for the negatives. This card is really good. I know like I'm praising this card a bit too much, but in retrospect, it does slow the game a bit. It does waste the card out of your opponent's hand to get rid of this. It does force more safe plays. It does force more um more I'm sorry, more accessories to use. I'm not thinking of accessories. I'm thinking of another card, another word. You're forced to use a lot more things to get rid of this card. So, oh, resources. There you go. See, I'm dead. So, you gotta use a lot of resources. You gotta use more resources to get rid of this card, and more resources to play it safe and play out the game until you have something to get rid of it, which is a big pain in the ass. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is this card good? Is it bad? I believe right now it could be side decked, or you could just hold on to it until Link Monsters drop. See how Link Monsters play out. See how the meta changes, how the archetype affects the game, the new Cyberse type. See how the entire summoning mechanic changes the game personally, and then consider using this card. I would, like I said, I'm gonna pick them up eventually, and I'm going to hold them until the new mechanic comes out and see how well it does against this in the new meta. So please drop a like if you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it and you're new to, if you enjoyed this content and our content and you're new to the channel. Excuse me. And go vote for what deck you want to see. Yeah, go vote for what deck you want to see on Friday. So I stream tomorrow. Will be stock market. It will be hosted by Jonathan. Only because I have to go out for the day, and the fact that last week's stock market was missed. I am sorry about that. I just needed some time for myself for that day to think about some things and work out some things. I know it sounds like a bit selfish, but it's my problem, and I apologize if you guys are upset with that. So that's about it, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.